What's good, boys and girls? Fins up. Whoa, Dan!
Whoa, mate!
Hey!
What a
For anyone who
jersey.
can't see at home, Dan and I have both turned up in the ugly Shark Nines jersey. It's incredible. Yeah, we're here. We're back for part 2 of our player ratings. I'm just bringing it up on my phone. I know you're going to have it on the screen, but I want to make sure I have my justifications on this. Now, last week's was incredible. To just to be back and living the memories that we have. And you said that this week's is going to be a little bit different. I can't wait to get into it. So let's go. Let's just crack on.
Beautiful. So those that missed us last week, make sure you jump back and check. This will go up on Rugby League Outlaws on a Monday afternoon now, which is today that we're filming on Monday. Wink, wink, Terry. And it'll drop on Fins Up a week later. So if you can jump across, please like and subscribe. Please subscribe. My brother, our producer, Dids, he keeps beating me, Terry, and I need subscriptions to keep him away. But let's get straight into it. So those that missed last week, we got talked about 15 players. Today we're going to talk about, surprise, surprise, the other 15. Now, there was a back that I left off and put a forward on this year because he didn't play, and this year he is. And anyways, we'll get to it. But let's start, mate, with a undoubted podcast favorite. Like, you and I, when this guy signed, were like, he's going to be a superstar, and you can't convince me otherwise. And that is Billy Burns, who I've given an A, and you've given an A-, which I think is the least we could do. What a man. What a season.
Yeah, look, I guess this is the basis on the what you got versus what you expect kind of thing. And it's, it was one of them ones where it was like, when we signed, I liken it to when we signed Aiden Tolman. It was like, if this guy plays more than 7 games, God help you. And now it's like, at the end of the year, he's left out a back rower who just lit up the Pacific Championships.
Mm-hmm.
Will be in the, like, Britton Nicker will be in the international team of the year. That's how good his performances were. And Burns was starting, and Burns was really good, and he scored some important tries, none more important than the one he scored in Canberra. And I thought, I thought this guy deserves every bit of his flowers that he's getting this year. I have a bad feeling that we'll lose him to someone like, Newcastle or Perth, or someone who's looking for a back rower. The one that I was really worried about is if Scott Sorensen goes over to the UK Super League, he might go home to Penrith. And I'd understand it because, round 1, 2026, I don't expect him to be starting. I think that he's going to play the Nicker role coming off the bench. If it, and again, if it wasn't for the emergence of Jesse Colquhoun, you could make an argument that he could go to lock, but Jesus, there's a really, really good footballer in there. I won't begrudge him, but like 2 years ago when we signed him, if he had left, a year later, you'd be like, whatever. Now, if he gets a good deal for 2027, you're going to be like, that stings.
That's the biggest compliment you can pay a player. A bloke who, when he signed, we were like, why? He comes in, debuts, plays okay, has a couple of good games, captains Newtown to a premiership, and, enters our hearts forever. Comes in this year, and as you said, keeps Britton Nicker out. Not through any great game plan, although I thought it worked out well, just because he was undroppable. He was playing so well. You cannot drop a guy who's playing that well. Again, this is expectation versus. I don't believe he's in the top 5 players. Nope. There are players that I thought played better that I'm going to give lower gradings. But Billy Burns, or Billiam as he's officially known, just endeared himself huge and just did absolutely everything we asked. He was so good. I couldn't tell you a bad game he had. I can't remember what he played against the Tigers this year, but we were all bad on that day. But otherwise, he was just so good all season.
Yeah, it's one of them ones where you just look you look at the back end of the year to it, and yes, Nicker got himself suspended and whatever, but when a situation like that happens, like, you don't expect a player like Billy Burns to take that opportunity, but the fact that he did, I think he's going to get over. I think he's going to get overpaid because people are going to look at those 4 or 5 games and just go, you know what, we could probably get that out of him for an entire season. I don't know if he's got that in him. Just going on his Google page now. He's nearly 27 years old, so he's into he's in the peak of his career as it is. His nationality is British, so how the Poms didn't pick him, I will never know. He's 104 kilos, 191 centimeters. He's got all, that's the thing. People have always said he's always had the characteristics and the traits to be a sensational footy player. This year he's done it. If we somehow manage to keep him, I will kiss the ground of our retention team because he's one of the ones I expect to lose.
Absolutely. We got some kids coming through, Dylan Couse, etc., that a year or two off. So there is people there that can step up. But yeah, right now I couldn't face a world without Billy Burns. I think ultimately he will sign a big deal for probably Perth or something. And not that it really matters on a podcast like this, but if he goes back and plays for Newtown during the finals, I think we go through to at least the prelim. He was solid for them. Was doing important things for Cronulla. Second one, speaking of Newtown, is Zach Hosking, who has been elevated.
Blake Hosking.
Zach Hosking, seriously?
Zach Hosking plays for Canberra.
He does. Well, let's just do a little bit of magic. I'm not even going to edit this out, mate. I'm going to own this.
No, can't edit it out.
So Blake Hosking. We've both given an age because he hasn't played for Cronulla yet. He wasn't in the top 30 this year. He's been moved up next year. I bought him in there was a back Rodwell, or not a Rodwell, someone like that who didn't play this year, so whatever. So Hosking going forward, I think, is a good depth piece. I don't expect him to play first grade.
Was it Riley Jones that they had on there instead of Hosking?
Riley Jones, that's the one, yes. So Hosking is a bloke who I don't expect to play for Cronulla, but if he gets a game or two, it won't be like, oh, God, we got to go to Hosking. It's like, oh, cool, let's see what this guy's got. I love what he does for Newtown.
Yeah, I think he's really, he's one of them players where I think he's only 23, right? If he's 27 and he's played 40 or 50 first grade games, you'd probably be like, yeah, that's fair, And it might be 40 or 50 first grade games at 3 different clubs. He might get 10 at Cronulla over the next 2 years, and then he'll, get 20 at Perth and get 10 at Newcastle or something like that. And you'd be like, yeah, that's probably what it is. He's never going to be anything outstanding. He's not going to be a rep player or anything, but he's a local junior. He's reliable. He's never any trouble. The coaches love him. I think he's won some SG Ball and some Flag Player of the Year and Coaches Awards and stuff like that. That's all you can say. He was brilliant for Newtown. Was he Newtown's Player of the Year?
No, I think that was Beryl.
Right, yeah, it was Jaden Beryl, yeah.
But, Hosking, if we see him, good on him. Zach Hosking would be a good signing. I'm a big fan of his. But Blake's our man next year. Speaking of our man, Blake Brayling.
Ooh,
who I gave right now and say is the second best hooker in the game, and you can't convince me otherwise. You gave him an A+, I gave him an A. What a season.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I would say he's the second best hooker in the game until I saw that PNG hooker. What's his name? Eddie Apapi?
He was good, but
he was sensational, that guy. No, Blake Brayley's the number 2 in the game, and it's not particularly close. I think he's surpassed Reece Robson. He's definitely jumped Wade Egan.
He'll
he's
play
great.
Origin next year.
He should. I don't know if he will because Reece Robson's gone down to the Roosters, so they might have that effect on there. But look, I feel for Blake because, well, he had a great year. He's gone on that Kangaroos tour, and in a dead rubber, he still didn't get a game or wasn't even named in the 20 players that could warm up. So, that sucks for him. But I think at the same time, it also shows he's there and thereabouts around rep teams. I expect him to be in a Blues camp this year for all 3 games, whether he plays or not. I think he'll be in the top 20 players that go in. Brilliant season. 2 years ago, I didn't want him at the club, or 3 years ago, I didn't want him at the club. Now you can't picture the team without him. He's just become that good. I was going to say this when you said that Niwai Puru is the backup, but if one of Hines or Trindle go down, I fully expect it would be Brayley and McInnes or Brayley and whoever to do the hooking and playmaking roles and positions that we have. But this guy's incredible. He had lots of try assists. He scored lots of tries. He got in the Dally M Team of the Year, which he fully deserved. He pushed Adam Fanua-Blake all the way to the end in our Player of the Year awards, along with Nico. He was, for mine, he was our second best player this year.
Yeah, I agree. What I loved from him was that when they interviewed him, they said, the pay for the Kangaroos tour is not what it used to be. He said, mate, I do this for free.
Yeah.
It shows where his head's at. Now, for him not to get a game, I think it was pretty criminal. They should have played him in that third game. Mm-hmm. And for all those that say you got to earn your jersey, he did earn the jersey. He should have been picked. For him to be there, though, and just sort of bunk with those superstars is great for us. And he deserves to be there. That wasn't I think Ethan Strange will be there. I don't think he's there yet, but he was taken for Jesus Kids can play anywhere. If we get
he was also taken for the fact of the Jesus Kid was close for declaring for England.
Oh, there you go. That's a very, very good move. But I think the Walter Brayley, a couple of years ago, we saw glimpses, and I think that's what frustrated us both, is that he had a game where he was 9 out of 10, and then he'd have a couple of 4s and 5s, and he wouldn't run. This year, he's running every chance he got. He was breathtaking, undoubtedly our second-best player. Big fan of Brayley. I'm on the island. You're on the boat over. Next year, I think I might officially get on you. But let's talk about Braden Hamlin-Uele. Now, big man, supposedly, reportedly told, look elsewhere. There's no future for you at the club. Don't know whether that's true or not. Heard conflicting reports. Don't particularly care. If, though, he was, I would be telling him that every week because I thought his back end of the season was really good. You gave him a B-. I gave him a C. I can't forgive the front end of the year, but the back end of the year, huge.
Yeah, it's the back end of the year that's got the extra grade for me here because he was better than he was more good than he was bad overall. I enjoyed him. He scored some tries and he was like the money, the phone call, whatever it was. Look, if it comes out, in 2 weeks' time that we've released him immediately to go to Newcastle or any of the other clubs that he's been linked with, or to go to the Warriors or to go back to the Cowboys, it would leave a hole. But we've also got a kid named Felix Fartilli who looked like he was all but gone to the Dolphins, and we've managed to keep him at the club again for another 2 seasons, I believe. So. Yeah, look, we're stacked. We're stacked for the bench. We've got lots of options. Hamlin-Uele is a good option, and if he starts the year like he finishes it, I wouldn't be opposed to just keep him around on 1-year deals like we did with Royce Hunt. But at the same time, I won't cry any tears if he goes.
No, it's exactly right. He'll get a role somewhere. He'll walk into the Newcastle side. I think he's a bit part player, because I think my top 17 he doesn't make next year. There's a couple of front rowers I put in front of him. Obviously, Talakai and if McInnes is back, he comes in. Colquhoun back to the bench. I don't agree with that, but that's what I think will happen. I think he had a great back end of the year, and that shows what kind of bloke he is, because he could have been told that and just gone, oh, I'm out anyways, who cares, and just phoned it in. And I thought he did the opposite. So, yeah, he's definitely earned the gradings there. But let's move on to Britton Nickera, mate, who we both gave B- to. I got to say I was a little bit disappointed in Nickera up until he came back, because he was not brought in because Billy Burns was playing so well. This is a rep player, a bloke who we thought could have been captain of the club and may be long-term at some stage, a bloke that we re-signed on a big deal, a contract extension earlier in the year or late last year, I can't remember. He came in and just took his medicine and was so good off the bench for Cronulla. Then went and did what he did for the Pacific Championships, which doesn't count in our rankings. But the way he stepped up off the bench, we didn't concede a point for the first 2 weeks when he was on the field. The way he went into the middle, the way he just did what he was asked, showed to me this guy is Cronulla through and through. I love the bloke, and he completely won me back over.
In the first 5 weeks, like he was one of, if not our best player on the field against Penrith. He went up to North Queensland and tore them apart. He was brilliant against South Sydney. He was held relatively quiet against Canterbury, and then he and Hudson Young just stole the show in the game against Canberra. And then it was really quiet. It was... I think after he scored like 2 tries, I remember he scored one against Parramatta in Magic round, and he scored against St George at home. And then I can't remember another try that he scored after that. So then he went and got himself suspended for the 3 weeks, and Billy Burns came in and took his job. And it was the way that he came back and didn't kick up a fuss, played himself on the bench, got into the Kiwis team. You know, he's going to start round 1 for us next year, and he's off contract. So he's going to be fighting for that contract. He's on the open market now, but he's always said that, you know, Cronulla's his club, his heart, whatever. I was a bit disappointed, but the back end of the year showed me that, hey, this guy absolutely cares about the club and what it means to be a Cronulla Shark.
100%. I think we're a better team with Nickera in it, because I think his ceiling is higher than Burns, and I'm not bagging Burns. I think his ceiling's higher than a lot of back rowers. That whole running is just breathtaking. Like, it's just stunning to watch. Sometimes the criticism is that he doesn't work hard enough. I think he really, really worked hard on that when he came back from that suspension and was just an absolute monster in the middle. I thought he was great. I think I would have given him an A if he didn't have that substantial drop in the middle. I probably would have given him a C if he didn't have that way he came back in. So that sums up the season he had, but I think he was far more often good than he was bad. And a leader of the club. But let's talk about the leader of the club, mate. Cam McInnes suffered an unfortunate ACL. They're all unfortunate. We both gave him a B-. I think Cronulla are better with Colquhoun at 13 because I think he plays a game that Cronulla can use better. But I did a top 10 locks, and Cam McInnes, I think, came 8th, and he missed a lot of it. Not a lot, but he missed a fair majority of the back end of the season. Tackled at 97%. The bloke is just the way he's endeared himself. Don't forget, this was a St George captain. Legends are maybe a bit of a push, but he was right up there. Came to Cronulla, endeared himself. We love him. If you told me he was a Shark through and through, I'd believe it.
Yeah, I'd believe it. Look, everything you say about Cam McInnes is true. He's sensational. He's great with fans. He's great with kids. His leadership is unreal. I remember that game where we went to Penrith and we were like diabolical. We had injuries galore, and he broke the record for tackles in the game. But he is what he is, and there's not much to him. And in stature, in terms of the locks, he's the lightest in the competition. And he doesn't do a lot with the ball. It's a lot of ball playing. It's a lot of pointless fourth tackle hit ups. And again, it's a game plan, and I understand that. I was a little bit disappointed when we re-signed him for a year, but I understood it because of the whole leadership, blah, 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 blah. But now that we've seen Jesse Colquhoun play lock, and now that we have seen what Billy Burns can do in the middle of the field, and now that we've got a young kid named Sam McCulloch coming through, I would be naming Cam McInnes in the 19 jersey every week and maybe having him in the 18th man if necessary. Doesn't get back in the team for me next year. I gave him a B- because it is maybe a B- is harsh. Maybe I could have gone to a B, but you saw a B- as well. It's just a lot of blah.
Yeah, he was great at what he did, which was just hit the ball up and tackle. I think Cronulla are a better team with Colquhoun in it because of the way he ball plays. He's bigger. He's faster. He's the modern day lock. Jess Colquhoun is a favourite of ours. He's behind me right here on the wall of agendas. I just can't be talked out of that. I want McInnes to come back at some stage next year because I don't want his last game for Cronulla to be the ACL injury, but I also fully expect him to be the inaugural captain for Perth, and I think that is best for all involved. Now let's talk about a player who we thought at one stage may replace Cam McInnes, and that's O'Hare Papuru, who we both given a C. I just flat chat thought it was a pass mark and nothing more because the position he's asked to play, which was off the bench, was just go in and do your 12 minutes.
Yeah, that's really all it was. We didn't give him the opportunity to start. We didn't give him any he could have thrown him a game against Newcastle, to start or whatever, but Colquhoun was playing too well. And at that point in time there, we knew we weren't going to get top 4. So, you don't really want to – you want to give players opportunities, but you don't want to mess around with it too much. I thought he was fine. I look at him like Cam McInnes. He's a bit too lightweight. He's not dynamic out of dummy half, so he couldn't be your number 9. He's a very, very good squad player. I'd rather have him than not.
100% agree. I think every good team needs a Hohepa Puru.
Yeah.
A bloke who's on dirt cheap money, and you can put in and sleep well at night knowing he's going to give you 200%, and he's going to give you a good game every time.
Yeah, and if we were down on troops and we named a team this Tuesday with Hohepa Puru at prop forward, you would know that he would go out and give the performance of a lifetime.
100%. I love the kid, and I think he is the kind of player that you need to win comps, because you can't have 30, Nico Hineses or Jesse Colquhoun, superstars of the game. But let's move on to Jaden Beryl, who we both given NAs. I don't think he played a second this year, did he?
He didn't.
No, because Bradley played them all. Last year had a couple of games. I thought he did well. Jaden Beryl is maybe not anymore, but was the best lock in New South Wales Cup for every single season we've had him. Hooker, has been our player of the year again for Newtown. Is just, when we re-signed him, I was like, I'm so glad. I think Sam Healy was nipping at his heels, but I also think Sam Healy wasn't going to sit behind Brayley, whereas Beryl has proven he will sit behind Brayley. Again, another squad member that you need to be successful, because he's on dirt cheap money. You can put him out there. He's a bloke that you don't see at Northies on Sunday night. He's a family man. He's just a lovely guy. I've met him numerous times. Goes out there and he's amongst Newtown's best every single week. As a squad player, I'm giving him a straight A. Perfect. Just didn't contribute, and that's what he's asked to do.
Yeah, he was, you see him in the warm-ups, right? And this guy knows that he's the 20th man, but he still gets to warm up with the squad. And he is like, excuse the French, because this has been a very friendly show, but he's fucked at the end of a warm-up because he's just gone and put everything out there for 15 minutes or 20 minutes whenever he's out there. I like him. I've got nothing bad to say about him. There was, times where we were calling for him to maybe give Brayley a spell because Brayley was out of form. That definitely wasn't this year. There was no opportunity for him. I think he has re-signed for another year, which is very surprising because Brayley's like, 1, he's an Iron Man, and 2, his form is just, like Brayley's at the peak. He's the captain of the club now. But this guy stayed around. He loves the Shire. He loves to surf. I think his kids have started school now. He's settled here. He's no trouble, and he's no hit to the salary cap. So, yeah, good player.
Yep. Yeah, I think Beryl will get a game or 2 next year around Origin time, just between us.
Yes.
And I think we play before 2 Origins and once after or something. So I think you're going to see some time. But one bloke, mate, who, again, is going to be here for a lot of years, hopefully, is Jesse Colquhoun. You giving him a B+, I gave him a B.
2 minutes. There's not enough zeros in his name.
Yeah, there isn't. Now, I spelled it correctly this time. This is Colquhoun, for anyone that cannot, including our great mates at Bar TV. Colquhoun. This guy was an agenda of yours and mine for multiple years, and a bloke that we hung our hat on, and we've taken many, many victory laps. I can't wait to see him play next season. He was so good when he came into the club. When he came back, he was, like when he got the opportunity to come into the team, he was awesome. When he was coming off the bench, he was good. Got that, when McInnes went down, it was a who's going to start at lock. If it had been anyone else but Jesse Colquhoun, I would have questioned Fitz. Like, I really would have questioned Fitz. Like, this is tailor-made. Dan's just changed, for anyone at home, Dan's just changed his rating from a B to an A4, 5+, whatever it is. So good. But he showed more than just the, run up the guts, do whatever you've got to do. He was ball playing. His defense was pretty good. He will probably won't want to watch that miss that he had on Jerome Hughes in the prelim anytime soon, but also as well, he'll probably want to go back and watch that and make sure it never happens again, such as the quality of the kid. He's off contract. The Titans want him. The Bears have been linked to him.
He's a local junior. I think it'll be really hard to pry him away if the money's right. I think we'll keep him, and we'll keep him for long term. Good player, one of my favourites. He, like Billy Burns, if he does leave, I'll be shattered.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't imagine a world without just Colin. He originally was a second rower. Had that game in, I think it was against Newcastle up in Gosford in the trial, and scored one of the greatest second row tries, or set it up for Katoa from memory. It's about 140 degrees, a lot of sweat that day, a couple of beers too. And I thought, he's our next second row. He's the next way Graham. And then he moved into the middle for Newtown and was bossing people up the middle. That game that Fitzgibbon was at, where he was there to see Hamlin-Uele and Toby, and Colhoun stole the show, was just incredible. All the talk is he's a Fitz guy and Fitz is a Colhoun guy. This guy needs to be our lock for the next 10 years. I would not have let him get to market. But if he goes to Perth and they offer him 400, I'm giving him 500 tomorrow and saying, add how many years you want. He is the future of this club. Brilliant, brilliant player. Now let's go to a bloke who, Oregon Kaufusi. Now you've given him a B-. I've given him a C+. I think he was better than average, but not by much.
Yeah, he was better than average, not by much. Came back, defended the ruck really well. I've graded him solely on his ruck defense and not what he did with the ball. Some games he had 40 meters, some games he had 150 meters, some games he was in between. But in terms of his ruck defense, he was just incredible. It was a year that he struggled with lack of fitness and injuries, and I think that really hampered him. But it also gave other players opportunities. I don't know what the position of him is next year, because I've always said he's either a starter or he's nothing. And Toby Rudolph has came in and taken that starting spot away from him, and it's going to take a lot from Kaufusi to get it back. In saying that, though, if you can have a handy guy that comes off the bench for, the 20 or 25 minutes that AFB's often just mops up the ruck, so be it.
Yeah, I actually thought his back end of the season was much better when he wasn't starting, because I have noticed there is a bit of a drop-off when Fanua Blake comes off, or dare I hear you yell. And I didn't notice that as much when Kaufusi and Nicorette later in the season came on. I thought our middle was more short up, but Oregon obviously had a lot bigger sample size in that regard. So I think his back end was really good. I thought the start of the year, I would have taken Hamlin-Uele over him. I would have taken, you name a forward, and I would have taken it over him. I was calling for Huge to come in. I couldn't backtrack on that quick enough now in hindsight. But I thought Kaufusi's start of the year was very disappointing. I thought his back end was very good, and that explains the C+. Thought he was better than average. Thought he was slightly more good than he was not so good. And now on to a player who I thought was very good at the back end of the season, but had some weeks that I just couldn't forgive. Through no fault of his own, Nat Sifa-Talakai, who's Terry's delivered a B+. I've given him a B-. I thought once he found his spot, which is off the bench, coming in the middle, he was a wrecking ball at the back end of the year. So good.
Terry gave him a B. Terry gave him a B.
Well, there you go.
I thought he was sensational coming off the bench. There was a part of me during the year that wanted him to start at front row because Kaufusi was awful. Toby was injured. Hazelton was injured. I was like, what do you do? Just throw this guy out there. Then Colhoun came into the team, obviously, and Talakai found his groove coming off the bench, and then Fitz moved into the centres. And I didn't quite understand that because we had Chris Vela, we had Moini Haradi, you got Michael Gabriel. There's so many different things that you could have done. I don't know it's the safety first option. We're in the middle of the season. We were battling out for the top 8, whatever it was. But this guy's so good coming off the bench. He's destructive. He's everything that you want in a bench forward. Teams don't get much of a reprieve when Fanua Blake comes off because they're like, thankfully, this beast has come up. And then they see Talakai run and they're like, God damn it. And there was a while there where it was like, oh, thank God he's come off, but Hazelton's come on and Toby's come on. And then you got Talakai and you got all these beasts. And I remember there was one game where Hamlin-Uele was having an absolute barnstorming game and AFB was having a great game and Talakai was on. And I just looked at that middle of the park and I was like, who in their right mind would take a hit up at that? And it was against Newcastle. And then the Newcastle prop took a run and got folded. And you were like, my point exactly. Don't do
Deserve
it.
that.
Yeah, don't do it. No, I thought Talakai had a good year. A B sits in there. If he hadn't have played in the centres, I think he would have featured a lot higher up in the polling for us. Because when he came off the bench, he was getting ones and twos pretty regularly.
Yeah, my son's a huge fan. He says we got 2 AFBs, which is the biggest rap you can give anyone in the game. Talakai's so good off the bench, and I hope to never see him in the centres again. That's not a crack at him. That's a coaching thing, but an absolute weapon off the bench. Big fan of Siva Talakai, who will be in huge demand too. So hopefully we I don't want to overpay for Talakai. Full disclosure, I wouldn't be rushing out there to re-sign him. I'd be like, hey, this is what we can give you because there's players coming through, but I certainly don't want to lose him. Teague Wilton, who you have said will play Origin one day, and I could not agree more. You gave him a B, I gave him a B+. I thought Wilton was so good this year.
Yeah, injuries, a little. He had a dip in form in the middle of the year, but the whole club did. The whole club, like even Fitz was a fucking rotten lemon in the middle of the season. Like the whole club just stunk. And I thought, again, injuries killed it. But you have a look at that the finals campaign that he had. He was absolutely brilliant. He was, my God, like spectacular against Canberra. And he had an informed Zach Osking up against him, and he had Simi Sasungi out that way, and he did everything that you could have asked of him. Maybe I have been a little bit harsh on this grading, but he was good, and he's only getting better. And I think he's like 25 or something. So we're going to have him for a long period of time. He's 26. He's coming up into the peak of his career now. I think there's rep football on the horizon for him in the next year or two. Yeah,
definitely. I think he'll be in the New South Wales squad when they call the 30 or however many. Laurie Dale will probably get it wrong and call up like a Saifidi or something, but I think Wilton should be there or thereabouts. That game against Canberra is a career best, something to hang your hat on. That try he scored at the end was just brilliant heads-up football. Absolutely loved it. I thought he was great all season. Early in his career, he made that switch to lock for Newtown, and we thought, that's probably his spot. I think he's too fast for lock. I think you put him out wide, and that's his best position. I love T. Wilton so much.
Yep.
And on to another player that the fan base love, Big Bold Tom Hazelton. You gave him a C, I gave him a C+. I think injuries ruined his season. Otherwise, we'd be talking Bs.
Yeah, injuries ruined it for him. I can't get my head around the shot in Canberra that wasn't a penalty, and then the shot in Melbourne that was a penalty. I think injuries ruined it for him. Yeah, he was having a good season. He really was, to a point where I was like, man, this guy is the starting front row with AFB. Gets hurt, comes back, gets hurt, comes back, gets knocked out. He's had a longer rest, and I think the club internally have said, they want to make sure that he's right. He come back a little bit later, sort of towards the back end of this month into the training side of things. I think the squad goes back to training on Monday, right?
Last Monday, Terry.
Last Monday. So he'll be, he'll be sort of towards, if he's there, I expect him to be red shirted, but he's in the 17 now. He's that good.
100%. He's off the bench because I'm starting Fanua Blake and Toby. You bring him off the bench, like we're a better team with him, and it was a shame that he did have the run that he did. That unforgivable that wasn't a penalty. I know it was an accident, but 99% of penalties are. And then the next week we saw the exact same thing penalised. So I think the NRL learned from that. I hope Tom's feeling good. I hope he enjoys his off season. He's a cult hero at Cronulla. He's a big part of our 17. I just think injuries completely ruined it. Otherwise, we're talking much higher. But Toby Rudolph, one that we've mentioned a couple of times, we both gave him a B-. I thought at the start of the year, you're looking to shop him. I thought the end of the year, that starting spot next to AFB's his.
Yeah, his beginning of the season, he just looked at, and I get it, he was injured and he was suspended and whatever. And he came back and it was like, do you even care that you are a rugby league first grade footballer? Like, do you understand the privilege that you have to play for any club in the NRL says that you're one of the best 200 players in the game. Week in, week out. If you're in the top 17, you're one of the best 200 players in the game. Don't worry about the Poms. They're gross. Yep. You just looked at him and you're like, he's just doing this like he's a part-time footballer, full-time podcaster, and if he could create a podcast, like at the beginning of the year, you would thought to yourself, if he could create a podcast that was going to pay him more, he'd happily do it. Back into the year, he saved our season against the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. He secured us into a semi-final against the Raiders by scoring that great try against the Roosters where he pushed over the best player in the game. Mm-hmm. He was awesome. Made that starting front. Like, I remember when he got named to start in the front row, you're like, my God, this is just going to be awful. It was incredible. He took his game up to another level, and that pushed BHU to even go even further into another level. I loved what I saw from him this year. Keep him around long term.
100%. Toby's he's a culture guy. Like everyone jokes about how he's a pest, yet everyone loves him. Like he goes on 100% footy and kisses Paul Gallen, and it makes all the media and everyone loves him. Every time he says something, he's just a goofy guy. And we've met him numerous times, and he couldn't have been nicer. He couldn't have been more giving with his time, and that sits with me, and maybe I have been a little bit biased towards him in the past, but I make no apologies for that. This is the guy you need at the club. But at the back end, it became more than, geez, you need Toby at the club because he's a good guy. You need him there because he's a damn good footballer. And the last 6 or 7 weeks, I can't remember exactly, he and AFB were doing hit up, tackle, and you're like, this just feels like a top prop rotation. Now, I don't know if it is, if I sat down and did the numbers. See, I didn't even Google him in my top 10 props. AFB was number 2. But in terms of combos, like I hear so much about Moses Leota, about being this wrecking ball. Toby's numbers are all comparable. Like, I don't know if he has the impact of Leota, and I like Leota. I'm not bashing him, but Toby's numbers are exactly the same. He's getting paid less, and his profile is way less in terms of, fans going, oh, Leota this, Leota that. You Toby Rudolph all day, every day. I love the bloke. Moving forward, he's our starting prop. Mm-hmm. Love it. But a bloke that is not our starting prop. Now, I like to think when it comes to genders, Terry, you and I take this on personally, I am pretty spot on. I'm here to admit defeat. Huge Tooks. Apologies. C- for Terry, D for me.
How many games did he play?
2. But,
yeah.
Okay. You remember the game against the Titans where he came on and just dropped the ball out of nowhere?
And then scored.
Score a great try at the other end. But why? This guy is humongous. He is so fast, and he is just way too good for New South Wales Cup. He plays 55, 60 minutes of brutal football for New South Wales Cup, comes up to top grade, plays 8 minutes and looks like the best player in the game for one hit up and the worst player in the game the next, and there's no in between. What's doing?
He played 6 games this year.
One memorable one.
Yeah, and that's the last one. He played... he won 3, lost 3. He played against the Cowboys in round 2, played against Souths in round 3, played against Canberra in round 4, Canberra in round 5. I don't remember that. Played against the Tigers in round 8. I've thrown that game out of the memory bank, and then he didn't play until round 24 where he was okay. Pretty good for Newtown. Like C's a pass mark. D felt harsh. C- would do. That's it.
Yeah, and you can't have 15 AFBs. So he's a bloke that you can throw in when needed, but he's way down the pecking order.
Look,
to the point.
How we spoke about Billy Burns is how we should be talking about this guy. He's a genetic freak, but he's like, you remember Dan Carlaw?
Kind of.
Looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's 196 centimeters, 120 kilos. And as you said, in New South Wales Cup, logs big minutes, comes up to first grade, stinks. So,
yeah, I don't know whether it's a coaching thing. Like they say, just go out there for 10 minutes and he needs time to build into his game. I don't think it's a lack of effort. Like the bloke, that hit up that he dropped, he ran at 200 miles an hour, didn't drop his head, scored a ripper try, busted 4 blokes and scored in the next couple of minutes. So I don't think it's a lack of effort. I want to see this guy play 25 minutes to see if he's got it or not, because he's been at the club, 4 years now? I don't know what he is.
That's it. He's only been at the club 2 years. It feels like 4.
Wow. Wasn't he in Canberra when we went 3 years ago?
No, I'm looking at his profile now. He joined us in 2024. We went to Canberra in 2024.
We were in Canberra last year.
No, we went to Canberra in 2023. He wasn't there, no.
No, he was because he was huge. Remember, we got the photo with him. Anyways, I want to see more.
Yeah.
And I have only one guy to ask, and that is Craig Fitzgibbon, who at one stage, you and I, full disclosure, were saying, is this the guy? Thought he made some horrible decisions in that middle. He wouldn't drop players that were out of form. He was picking players out of position. Then we had that run of losses where it looked like we'd missed the 8. He dragged the ball in, asked if everyone's serious, started making the right decisions, and we went on a run to the fact that only Melbourne Storm beat us in a prelim. I think we dust pretty much anyone else other than Brisbane. I think Penrith maybe, but I think any other team in the competition we flogged that week. I gave him a B, you gave him a B+. I thought he turned it around and this guy will win a premiership, if not next year in 2027. But that 6 week in the middle, mate, where we were ironically pulling our hair out, looking like Sir Fitz. Oh,
yeah, it was the stubbornness, and there's still glimpses of the stubbornness in there in his game plan. But the injuries forced his hand a little bit this year to bring players in, and it's like you never questioned whether he can coach or not. Like, this guy has been around so many good people in his career to not be successful. And I've done a podcast on him solely saying that since he's been at the club, there's only been 2 clubs better than us. Mm-hmm. Yes, I get Brisbane won a premiership, but overall in terms of even still, if you want to say that, we've been the 4th best club since he's been there. Yep. He outcoached a lot of good coaches towards the end of the year. His game plan was good. His use of the bench was good. The fact that he got rid of Dean Atkinson and put 4 forwards on the bench, the whole game plan for him, and this is the thing that is so frustrating, is you go down to Melbourne in 2024 with no Hines, no Trindle, Dan Atkinson, and Cam McInnes playing the halves, and everyone thinks you're going to lose by 40, and you win the game because the game plan was bust them up the guts, throw your huge forwards off the bench, play 4 forwards up the middle, and then he goes back to Dan Atkinson on the bench, and he goes back to doing stupid things, right? Got rid of that. He doesn't have a little pet Chihuahua anymore. He let him go to St. George. 4 forwards is the way to go. And we look so much better with that. And if we ever have a fully fit and healthy squad and we don't have 4 forwards on the bench, that B+ becomes a D because he's dickhead.
Yeah. There was an SEN graphic, and I hate to shout him out because I'm, indifferent. They did for all the teams, a team that they could have had, or missing players. There was the Azarkos and the Zeris who have been at Cronulla, and then Reece Robson, who I can't remember even being in Cronulla other than to play a game against the Sharks. And there were 2 blokes, Bronson Zeri of our homes, I would swap for Ramian, and I would have Metcalf on the bench or in and around the squad. Everyone else doesn't make our current team.
Yeah, there were a couple that I said, you definitely have a Zeri in there. You definitely have Val Holmes or Isako.
Yeah, so we're talking 2 or 3 players here.
I'd probably have Luke Metcalf over Trindle, and I'd maybe have Jack Williams back at the club.
All the other teams, the Tigers felt like a who's who. There was 17, and you take 9 of them, 10 of them.
Yeah. The 17 players for the Tigers would beat the current Tigers.
Yeah. All these teams are like, geez, they let some stars go. Cronulla 2 or 3. Yeah. That just shows every player that we wanted to keep, we've kept, because we let Jack Williams go. We let Daniel Atkinson go.
Our retention is so good, they had to go back to when Alex Johnston played for Endeavour Sports High.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So the players want to play for Craig Fitzgibbon. He signed, the second best prop in the game, Fanua Blake. He signed Nico Hines. He bought, Kafusi in, who's done a job. He has bought these players through. I cop a lot of grief that, a lot of the messages I get, and before I got unjustly suspended on Twitter, was that I only like Fitz when he's doing exactly what I want. okay, well, since he started doing that, we started winning again. So maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
I think he's a week or two behind. He's reactionary rather than revolutionary. I'm in a spot where I want like Michael Gabriel to start round 1 when he's probably not going to be ready till round 10 next year. So I get it. You need to be a little bit more fits than me, but I like him a lot more than he frustrates me. My roommate will say otherwise, but I think Craig Fitzgibbon, when you ask me straight, who would you swap? Christian Wolf's 50-50, and after what I saw from Tonga, I no. It's Bellamy or Cleary. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Bellamy or Cleary, and that's about it. Yeah, I wouldn't contemplate anyone else at the moment until you can tell me otherwise, Dan. I am getting tapped on the shoulder because we are going out to one of my daughter's dancing concerts and dinner is ready. So this has been fun. Keep an eye out for Rugby League Outlaws because we're going to be reviewing all 17 teams in the off-season, telling them what went right, what went wrong, what they need to do. What I will say, spoiler alert for the Tigers, is that this is a gimmick jersey. Your jerseys are shit.